the active power this will be the reactive power. Now, so for n bus power system, there will be n such equations for active power, n such equations for reactive power. So total 2n number of equations. If we solve these equations, obviously we can find out the voltages. If the powers are known, obviously generally in generator bus or load bus, powers are specified, powers are known. So we can calculate the bus voltages. Because in load flow study, we have to calculate the bus voltages at load points. So these equations will be useful for that. That's why equation 10a and 10b are called static load flow equations. Why static? Because these equations are valid when the system operation is steady. There is no transient in the system like fault or other. Under normal operating condition where loads are not changing, then these equations are valid, and so these are called static load flow equations. If we solve these static load flow equations or SLFE, then we can find out bus voltages. So these are very important. So for n bus power system, for n number of buses, there will be n number of active power, n number of reactive power. So 2n number of equations will be there. So SLFE is this two. I have rewritten here. Now, more specifically, PI, injected bus power. PI actually in a bus, what is the net power injected? So PI, if I write for active power, then actually there is no injected bus power. There is actually demand and some generation. So actually injected bus power means demand minus generation. Same thing applied for the reactive power. So equation 10a, we can write PGI minus PDI for the ith bus. Similarly for reactive power, QGI minus QDI for the reactive power. So for any bus, generation generator bus or load bus, PGI or PDI are known generator, but voltages are unknown. So if we see for equation 10a or 10b, what are the parameters available at every bus? So these are the things, variables or parameters. If we consider what are the possible variables may be there. In that sense, active power generation is the variable that we can control by prime mover input. Reactive power generation is variable that we can control by field or the compensation. Active power demand, that is controlled by consumer. Reactive power demand controlled by consumer, and magnitude of bus voltage and angle are variable depending on this power available at that bus and at the nearby bus, interconnected buses. So actually there are 6 variables if we consider that all the things are variable and are controllable. Then obviously for a particular power generation, PGI and QGI will remain constant. A particular demand, PDI and QDI will be constant, right? But in general sense, there are 6 variables. Now here, these are the static load flow equations. Now if we combine power generation and demand, then PGI minus PDI is the PI, QGI minus QDI is the QI. So PI, QI will be variable because if any one of PGI or PDI or QGI or QDI will be variable, then PI or QI will be variable. So in that case, we can decrease down that 6 variables to 4, right? So these 4 unknown quantities we have to solve equation using static load flow equations. Why 4, not 2? Because all the time power generation cannot be known. It is sometimes also unknown. That's why 4 variables. I shall discuss it, then it will be clear to you. But now you can assume that if power generation is variable for turbine side or demand is variable from load side, then PI will be variable in that way. So there are 4 unknowns. But here, so for n number of buses, there will be 4n a number of variables. Please wait for a minute. So actually in load flow equations, there are 4n to n number of this equation, n number of this equation. So here from here we can get total 2n number of equations. But if we want to make all these 4 variables, then for n number of system there will be 4n number of variables. 4n number of variables cannot be solved using 2n number of equations. So we have to reduce this 4n number of equations to 2n number of 4n number of variables to 2n number of variables. I am continuing. If you are not understanding, then you must interrupt me. Then among this 4n number of equation, for example, for generator bus, Pi and Qi will be known, because generation is known, load is known. So obviously by nature in that bus V and delta is variable. So in that way, by nature of the power system, it is very easy to reduce down this 4n number of variables to 2n number. Also for each bus, 4 number of variables to 2 number of variables. So which 2 number of variables will be specified or known for a particular bus? Depending on that, there is a bus classification in load flow study. For example, in a generator bus, always P and Q are known. If P and Q are known, say if all the generation are known, then V and delta will be variable. So in that, by nature they are fixed. So this is a generator bus. But that is actually not the case for generator bus. Anyway, let me proceed. Then obviously bus classification is required to solve SLFE. Any 2 buses, bus variables are made specified or constant with proper justification, as I have told for generator bus. So every bus should have only 2 unknown quantities, which can be solved using 2n number of SLFEs. But that does not mean for every bus V delta will be known. For some bus PQ, V delta are known, you have to find out PQ in that way. But in every bus, there will be two variables. But the variables may not be same, may not be similar, they are different. So that's why there is a bus classification, different type of buses in load flow study. For example, load bus. For load bus, we know that for any load bus, load is known. So load is known means injected bus power is known. So in that bus, in this particular bus, this bus is not load bus because generation is there. But bus 4 is the load bus because there is only load. So load will obviously be known at every time. So this is a load bus. Here PD and QD is known, and PG and QG is 0. So obviously net power injection PI and QI are known. So for load bus, actually PI and QI are known. Obviously PG and QG are generally 0 and PD and QD are known. So what are the unknown quantities? Magnitude of V and its angle. So this is the load bus. So this is the simple load bus. So in load bus generally PI and QI are known. I am writing K only. We have to find out magnitude of voltage and delta, right? But there may be some bus, load bus with compensator. What happens when the load bus has a compensator? Then its voltage is kept constant. It's not it. We have learned the compensation by maintaining the voltage drop. So in that case, magnitude of V is constant. So in that case, for that particular load bus, PI will be known and magnitude of VI will be constant, specified. So we have connected the compensator in such a way that output, the terminal voltage of that load bus will be fixed at 0.95 per unit or 0.98 per unit or 1 per unit. So these are known in that case. So what we have to find out? Delta obviously. because compensator does not fix up the delta. Along with that, QI, because QI actually Q comp minus QDI if there is a compensation, or by anyway, when you are supplying in a load bus, when you are adding a compensator, then that compensator, what will be the compensation, that depend on that whether voltage is rising or going down. So Q comp may be capacitive or inductive. Anyway, that generates Q comp means actually a reactive power generation, but not at generator bus, but at load bus. So for that reason, the QG will be variable. If QG is variable, then QG minus QDI, QI will be variable. So in that case, this load bus will be a special type of load bus where magnitude of V is known, but Q and delta is unknown. Which load bus? Where QCOM is connected so that its output voltage may be kept constant. How long this criteria will be fulfilled? Until and unless QCOM will be able to maintain magnitude of voltage. If it is not able to maintain that voltage, then obviously in that case that particular load bus will not be able to maintain terminal voltage. Then again its PD and QD will be fixed, or PI and QI will be fixed, and magnitude of V and delta will be variable. So this with compensation, load bus with compensator is a special case. In general, in load bus, P and Q are unknown. The magnitude of V and delta are to be calculated in load flow study. Have you understood this? This particular case with compensation is not in your syllabus. It may be required for higher study or GATE or any other thing, but not to be incorporated in load flow right now. Do you have any query, or otherwise I shall go to next slide? I think no then. Then there is a generator bus. In generator bus, generally, if you have learned synchronous generator, when generator is connected, what is the specified thing? How much it is generating, at which voltage level. Q is never kept constant there. Actually, Q in that case is variable to maintain this particular voltage by automatic generation control, AGC or AVR, automatic voltage regulator. So for the generator bus, generally magnitude of voltage and active power generation is known. And if there be any load, then net active power generation will be known. Only the unknown quantity will be the magnitude of angle of the voltage and the reactive power injection. Right? So this is the generator bus. So generator bus is also called PV bus because in this type of bus, P and V are known. Similarly, for load bus, it is called PQ bus because for this particular bus, P and Q are known. Have you understood generator bus and load bus?
Yes, ma'am.
But in generator bus, this QG cannot be controlled infinitely because from where this QG is generated? From the rotor current control. Now rotor current has a maximum current as a minimum current that we can get by minimizing the rotor impedance and maximizing the rotor impedance. When rotor impedance is minimum, we shall get the maximum rotor current. So maximum reactive power. So it has a maximum and minimum value in case of any practical generator. Theoretically, it may be infinite, but practically it should have a minimum value and maximum value. So this QG will be able to maintain the magnitude of voltage at the rated one only when this QG is flexible. It can change its value. Now say for a particular load configuration, to maintain this voltage, QG it is required to reduce QG gradually. and so it is required to reduce the rotor current gradually. And finally, rotor current has reached its minimum value. Then also we have not reached the desired voltage. Desired voltage is still higher. So if desired voltage is higher, then we have to reduce the inductive generation. But we cannot reduce because it has reached its minimum value. So in that case, this generator will no longer be able to maintain its output voltage. So in that case, its generation will be QG minimum and PG, and its voltage will be variable because it will not be able to maintain its output voltage because it cannot reduce its Q beyond the rotor current, minimum rotor current. So how we can take this physical phenomena in the numerical calculation in load flow study? So in load flow study, by calculation, when the QG will reach its minimum value or maximum value, then obviously that particular generator, it will be assumed that that particular generator is not able to maintain its output voltage at this moment. So in that case, for that particular generator, PG and QG will be fixed. So V and delta will be variable. So in that case, that generator will be converted into a PQ bus. PQ bus does not mean it is a load bus. PQ bus means is a bus in which net active and reactive power injections are known. So a generator may also be a PQ bus where its generation is known. Even the reactive power generation is known and it is minimum, but its voltage is variable. So in that case, it will be converted into a PQ bus instead of a PV bus. When it will happen? When the reactive power generation in a particular generator will reach its maximum value or its minimum value. I have written this one also here. Remember that PV bus can maintain its terminal voltage magnitude when it can adjust its reactive power accordingly. But for every generator, there is a reactive power generation limit, minimum or maximum. Beyond this limit, generator cannot control the output voltage. If the situation demands QGI less than QG minimum, as I have explained, or QGI greater than QG max, then it will not be possible to reach that. So the terminal voltage will no longer be constant. In that case, QGI will be fixed either to QG mean or QG max. It will be physically fixed because it cannot be reduced. So in calculation, we shall make it fixed. Depending upon the operating condition that the PV bus will behave as a load bus. Load bus does not mean the generation will be converted to load. Load bus in the sense that its P and Q will be constant. Now you see, in this power system, if we specify all the generation, say all the loads here is 20, say I am talking about active only, there may be reactive also, 20 and 10 active power, kilowatt or megawatt. So if we fix this generation is 20 and this generation 10, will it say here there is another load, say 5 here, so this generation set 15, then will it be sufficient? Then this power system will operate satisfactorily? Obviously no, because when this interconnection will be done, then there will be some line flows. For that, there will be some line loss. Who will supply that line loss? We have not taken care of that. We have not included that in the mathematical formulation. So we have to include that one in the mathematical formulation. Here I have explained in terms of active power. Same thing will happen in terms of reactive power also. So any generation should supply this one, either this or both of them. So we cannot make all the generation fixed, because if we make all the generation fixed, then no generation will be there to supply the loss. Then the calculation will be wrong. Calculation should be done, mathematical formulation should be done as per the practical condition. Okay, we cannot deviate from the practical scenario. Actually, the principle of load flow is to find out binary bus voltages for a practical power system, not for any hypothetical one. So for that reason, we cannot make all the generation constant. We have to make one generation variable. So here, for this particular generator, see if we make generation of this generator variable. These are variable. We have to know. Why no? Because it has particular generation, but what is the loss? That is not known. We assume that this is supplying the loss. So some variable part is there. So it is actually very it in turn become variable. So PGI QGI is the variable. Then V delta cannot be fixed. Is not it? Then how we can reduce the four parameters to 2? For that particular generator, we specify this voltage. It should be specified. It should be maintained to its specified value at any condition. And delta we make 0. If we make delta 0, then obviously delta of this generator if come 10 degree, that means with respect to this generator. So if V1 is there, then V2 10 degree means V2 is 10 degree leading from V1. So actually always V1 is the reference phasor. Right? We do not need any absolute value. Absolute value can never be for the angle. So we can make that angle as the 0. But how we can make sure that magnitude of voltage will be constant? Its reactive power limit may be violated. Generally, generator with maximum power, maximum capacity is assumed to be assumed as this type of generator. Because if the generator capacity is more, then it will have more capacity to regulate its reactive VAR, and it will have the generation magnitude of voltage constant, like the infinite bus. So generally, the maximum generation available with maximum capacity is considered as this type of bus. This type of bus is called slack bus. Slack means variable, where generation is variable. It is adjustable. Now slack bus, this generation is variable. Say P become 15 does not means loss is 15. Within this 15, it is supplying some generation, some load. Along with that, it is supplying some loss. But we have made the generation variable to accommodate the loss in the mathematical formulation. So this is the concept of load bus, a slack bus. All active and reactive power generation cannot be specified by assigning all the generator as PV buses. In that case, there will be no room to accommodate the line loss, which is unknown prior to load flow calculation. Because if we do not know bus voltage, we cannot calculate line current, then we cannot calculate line loss. Hence, there is a concept of slack bus. Any generator bus may be chosen as slack bus, which is assumed to supply the line losses. The slack bus voltage is assumed to be system reference angle, and it is complex bus voltage is Vi plus J0 is specified, always specified. Here Vi is specified and delta is 0. So unknown quantity is Pi plus Qi. Actually Pi, Qi, PGI, QGI are the unknown quantity, as PDI, QDI are known. Generally slack bus is numbered as 1. Why? Because for n bus power system, you have to calculate bus voltage for all. So you have to consider one by one all the buses. So for slack bus, there will be no calculation for bus voltage, because for slack bus voltage magnitude and angles are known. So for if we number it 1, then we shall exclude it for calculation. So the calculation will start from bus number 2. So when we use the bus data should include the bus type. Otherwise, information will be incomplete. So bus data, when I have told you, you can see there on, I think there was only PG and QG. If we go to the first slide like that. Only PG, QG, PD, QD. But that is not the thing actually. Along with that, there will be bus classification also. So this will be that. Along with that, what is the state of voltage? If it is slack bus, then magnitude and angle both will be known. If it is PV bus, then magnitude is already known. You have to calculate the angle. For slack bus generation, all the generation you have to calculate. For PV bus, you have to calculate Q. But you must know that PV bus does not mean it is a generator bus. It may be a special type of load bus where compensator is connected. Here I have assumed PV bus as a generator bus, so PG is plus 1.2. If it is a special type of load bus with 0.6 per unit active power, then in bus data set there is a bus number 5 where is a PV bus, but is a special type of load bus with compensator which is maintaining its bus voltage at 1 at an angle 0 degree. Then obviously it has the active power as 0.6, so it will be minus 0.6 angle, and generations are Then here it has a demand of 0.6. There may be some reactive power demand also, say 0.1. PG is not there, 0. Then we have to calculate QG and angle of the voltage, right? But there is no PGs. This particular PV bus that I have shown in the bus number 2, that is a generator bus. But the PV bus that I have shown in bus number 5, that is a load bus. So that is the difference. For PQ bus, P and Q, PD and QD are known. We have to find out magnitude of voltage as well as angle. Now there are separate different type of method for that to find out these bus voltages. So load flow analysis actually divided into two parts. One is bus voltage calculation, another is line flow calculation. And solution of static load flow equation. Static load flow equation means that equation 10A and 10B can solve, that is the bus power equations, can give you the bus voltages. At first you can calculate the bus voltage. If these bus voltages are known, if these two terminal voltages are known, then only you can find out current, then you can calculate the losses. Then for bus voltage calculation, there are different type of method: Gauss-Seidel method, Newton-Raphson method, fast decoupled method, DC load flow method. So here, for bus voltage calculation in your syllabus, there is only Gauss-Seidel method. This is the easiest one, but it has some limitation. It cannot be used for very large power system. Then there is a convergence problem. Now, if we concentrate on Gauss-Seidel load flow method, then there is no calculation for slack bus voltage, because this is the calculation for bus voltage. For slack bus voltage and magnitudes are known. So this is the magnitude and bus voltage are known. So we shall not calculate this one anymore. Then the calculation should start from bus number 2. Then from equation 9, I have not repeated here. Equation 9 means the bus power equation, this one. This is the equation. So from here, if we extract the ith bus from the right hand side, then for ith bus, what will be the expression? VI, YII and VI. So we can write this one. So in summations part, in the remaining portion, there will be I not equal to J. So in that way, we can extract the voltages for ith bus. Then from there, we can find out the expression of V. So VI is this one. Now you can see here, there is VI on the both side. So that means actually here we cannot calculate VI by any direct method. Always we need some iterative method to calculate the bus voltages, right? So above equation will be applicable for the buses starting from numbering 2 to n. Now bus numbering is totally arbitrary. I have told that we generally number slack bus as 1 so that we can skip that bus. But if you make slack bus as 5, there is no problem. Then you have to start calculation from bus 1. Then after bus 4, you have to skip the bus 5. Then you have to again calculate from bus 6 to remaining. Now here from equation 11 it is clear that for calculation of any value of Vi, we need another value of previous value of Vi. So it is an iterative process. This is not a direct process. For iterative process, we need some initial guess. What will be, because we need some previous guess, then only we can calculate the present one. So initial guess is required for iterative process. And for solution, to find solution of SLFE, always we need some iterative process. So Gauss-Seidel method of load flow analysis is iterative process. Other methods that I have told, Newton-Raphson method or fast decoupled method or DC rate flow method, all are iterative process. But the method of iteration is different from one to another. So what will be the guess of bus voltage? You have to guess it. For load buses, we assume that it will be ideal if the load bus voltage is the rated one. So what is the rated value of any voltage? Is 1 per unit. So for load bus, it will always be 1 at an angle 0 degree. For generator or PV bus, why I have written generator or PV bus? Because generator bus is a PV bus. But all that PV bus may not be a generator bus. One load bus may also be a PV bus. So that's why I have written for generator or PV bus, initial bus voltage will be specified bus voltage at an angle 0. Because I do not know what will be the angle. So we guess it as 0. For slack bus, there is no assumption. It will be constant throughout the load flow calculation. That is specified voltage at an angle 0 degree. Then this is the equation 11. Then equation 11 we can modify for kth iteration. Say this is the initial guess. So if it is the initial 0 value, then it will be fast iteration. So all are for fast iteration value we can get in this way. If we know the initial voltages, then obviously for kth iteration, it will be kth bus voltages are known, here k, and this will be k plus 1 that I have directly written in equation 12a. I hope you have understood equation 12a. So using equation 12a, we can find out bus voltage at any iteration. So at initial iteration, we shall start from these guesses. So V1 is known as priority because V1 bus voltage, assuming that slack bus is the bus voltage bus number 1, computation are to be performed for buses 2 to n. Now equation 11 can be written for kth iteration. I have already written this one. Then equation 12a may also be written in this way. Say it is j equal to 1 to n, j not equal to I. So first expression is as it is. So this j will start from 1. So 1, 2, 3 up to I minus 1 it will reach. Then I is absent. So I will not be there. Next will be from I plus 1. Then it will be up to n. Then Vik plus 1, you see now, when there is say 4 number of buses, okay, you are doing kth iteration, right? So V1k means V1 is constant anyway. You know all this, okay? Now you are performing k plus 1th iteration. So V1 k plus 1 or the same value of V1 is known. You can calculate V2 k plus 1. So when you are calculating V3 k plus 1, then in equation you can use V2k, but V2k plus 1 is now available when you are calculating V3k plus 1, is not it? So we could use most updated value of V2. So for that, when we are calculating for ith bus up to I minus 1, all the updated bus voltages are known. So instead of k, we may write this one as k plus 1 for j equal to 1 to I minus 1. Then from I plus 1 to n, updated values are not known. So we have to go with the previous value. So equation 12a may be modified as equation 12b. Understood this? Understood this?
Yes, ma'am, understood.
Then what will be said now? We shall continue the calculation. Then what will be the convergence criteria? How long we shall calculate? Then obviously, say one iteration we have say at one iteration we have calculated all the bus voltages. Then next iteration, if we see there is no significant change in bus voltages, that means that is the final one. So in that way, we make fix up the convergence criteria. So for that purpose, convergence criteria will be this VIK plus 1, that is the deviation in bus voltage from present iteration to previous one. So VIK plus 1 minus BK. If this deviation is very small, say less than 0.0001, then we may say that process has been converged, otherwise not. So this may be the convergence criteria. But for Gauss-Seidel load flow solution, this convergence rate is very small, very long, very slow. So if this difference, the time to reach this reference, say 0.001 is very long. It may take 10 to 12, 10 to 14 iteration for 5 or 6 bus system. For larger bus systems, say 30 or 40 bus, it takes 50-30 iteration, and sometimes it does not converge also. So for that reason, there is one factor is adopted here, that is called acceleration factor. Acceleration factor is used to accelerate the iteration. What is done there? Actually, this deviation is been increased to some extent. So whatever be the deviation there, right, that has been accelerated. So at first deviation is calculated, then the updated value is written as, so deviation updated value is written as the previous value plus deviation into alpha. So updated value should be the previous value plus deviation, but it is multiplied by alpha. Alpha is greater than 1. It is 0.6, 1.6, 1.4 like that. So instead of direct that del Vk, we are increasing the deviation. It is seen that with this acceleration factor, the convergence gets faster to some extent. So finally, it will be alpha into del Vik plus 1 minus Vk. So actually, this is the accelerated value. But there is no accelerated value will be the final value of that iteration. So finally, the final iteration value will be the accelerated value. So what will be the convergence rate? What will be the flow actually? At first, when we calculate Vik plus 1, we shall find out deviation. Then we shall find out the accelerated bus voltages. Then accelerated bus voltages will be assigned as the bus voltage. Then we shall calculate this deviation again. Now, if this deviation is less than this one, 0.001 is a sample value. It may be 10 to the power minus 6, 10 to the power minus 5 also. Then if it is less than 0.001, then it will be converged. Then after each iteration, this will be the first step, this will be the second step, this will be the third step, this will be the fourth step. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
So there are solution method for different buses, different types of buses. For load buses, Pi minus Qi is known because load flow equation, this is the from conjugate it is come, if you see that one. So Pi minus Qi is known. And So we can calculate VIK plus 1 using this equation 12b. And after that, we can calculate del V finally. But for generator buses, it is PV bus. So for generator buses, actually, you can see that to calculate these voltages, we have to know the Q. But for generator buses, Q is not known. So at first, we have to calculate this QI. How we can calculate? QI is the QGI minus QDI. So we can calculate this from this equation, right? Then for generator buses, we have to calculate QI in this way. Then that QI we have to put here to calculate the bus voltages, right? So this is the thing. But for PV buses, there may be two cases. That is, for academic purpose, it is sometimes reactive power generation limit is not given. So that is, in that case, we shall assume that any voltage deviation can be accommodated with that generation. So that for any operating condition, bus voltage magnitude can be maintained. And another case may be there that reactive power limit is given. So if there is reactive power limit is given, then there two case may arrive. Whatever QGI you can calculate, you need QI for this purpose. QI you can calculate, use there. Along with that, from QI you can calculate QGI also, because this is equal to QI. So QGI will be QI plus QDI. So and in that way you can calculate QGI also. Why we need QGI? Because generator is generating QGI, not QI or QDI. So whether this QGI is within limit or not, that is required to calculate. So for that purpose, we need QGI. So if QGI is known, then if limit is given, then we can check whether the limit is violated or not. If the limit is violated, then the things are different. If the limit is violated, then obviously that generator bus will no longer be able to maintain its output voltage. If it is not violated, it is fine. It can maintain its output voltage. Now, if the limit is violated, then there may be two cases. Limit may be violated at the upper side, QGI may be more than maximum, or maybe at lower side, QGI is less than QG minimum. Then that means it has been failed. Then how we can incorporate it in load flow? Then obviously that particular generator is now PQ bus with which Q? In that case, if it cross the limit at the upper side, then QGI will be equal to QG max. If it is cross the limit at the lower side, then QGI will be at the QG minimum. Then update the reactive power injection. So now reactive power injection is fixed with that QG minimum value or QG maximum value that we have fixed here, either maximum or minimum. Then with that, you can calculate the S and keeping real part unaltered. Then in that case, now this V will no longer be a constant value. Now it is a load bus. So initially it for a flat start, now 1 at an angle 0. It may happen for a generator for first 2 or 3 generation. For first 2 or 3 iteration, the generation limit is maintained. At 4th iteration, you are seeing that Q limit is not maintained. What is the meaning of iteration here? Actually, meaning of iteration is that the voltage is adjusting its value to maintain the power balance at the every buses. So when after 3rd iteration, you are seeing that the reactive power limit has been violated. That means that bus is no longer be able to maintain its output voltage. So in that case, from there we shall start to assume it as a load bus. So V at an angle 1 at an angle 0 degree, and we shall change the bus type PV bus to PQ bus. What is the meaning of bus type? Because for every bus, the calculation will be of different type. You can see that for load buses, calculation will be only this much. There is no reactive power check, limit check, no reactive power calculation. But for PV bus, there is reactive power check, there is the reactive power calculation. So for that reason, we need to make some switching or say if then else loop in the computer programming. We have to make some identification for the load buses. So that identification should be changed when limit is violated. So change the bus type from PV bus to PQ bus as Q limit is failed. Then calculate. Now when Q limit is failed, then calculate VIK plus 1 using equation 12V. So when we reach the step 3, then remaining calculation is same. All the calculation is now for the load buses. Okay. That's all for today. Remaining part I shall discuss in next class. If you have no doubt, then please leave the meeting.
Thank you, ma'am.